It's early morning. Golden sunlight filters through the trees as Ethan places fresh mail in his old wooden mailbox by the roadside. Birds chirp. The world feels peaceful and routine until a white SUV screeches around the corner. Ethan steps back just in time. The SUV sideswipes the mailbox. Crack! Splintering the post in half. The driver doesn't even slow down. He stares after the car, recognizing it immediately. Karen Wells, head of the HOA board, queen of neighborhood rules. Except apparently her own. Camera pans to the shattered mailbox lying flat on the ground, its paint chipped, letters scattered. Ethan kneels, brushing dirt from the broken wood, expression hardening. She didn't even stop. Again? He glances toward her driveway. Her SUV sits parked there minutes later, pristine as if nothing happened. But Ethan's eyes say it all. This time, she picked the wrong mailbox. Later that afternoon, Ethan walks to the HOA meeting. The air is thick with forced politeness. Karen sits at the head of the table, manicured hands folded, a smug smile. Ethan raises the issue. "Karen, your car hit my mailbox this morning." "That's twice this month." Karen tilts her head innocently. "If you placed it too close to the road, that's not my fault." It's technically violating setback rules. Murmurs ripple through the room. Some neighbors exchange glances, uncomfortable. The fluorescent light flickers. Close-up shot. Ethan gripping the table edge, trying to stay composed. He wants to yell, but he doesn't. He knows her type. Provoke, deny, deflect. Karen ends the meeting with her signature smirk. "Please remove any damaged mailboxes within HOA property limits." Ethan's jaw tightens. Within whose limits? Montage sequence. Days pass, Ethan replaces his mailbox again. Every time, Karen's SUV mysteriously clips it. Once, twice, 3 times. Each incident feels deliberate. Cruel. Neighbors start whispering, maybe he should just move it back. Karen runs this place. He's asking for trouble. Ethan watches from his porch each evening, eyes tired but determined. Rainy evenings, the sound of tires hissing on wet pavement, mailbox after mailbox collapsing in slow motion. The mailbox isn't just wood. It's dignity, boundaries, and patience being crushed repeatedly. One night, as another thud echoes outside, Ethan steps out, flashlight in hand, and catches Karen's SUV speeding away. The license plate reflects in the beam. He whispers, "Got you." The next morning, Ethan stands at the base of the driveway holding the wrecked mailbox post. Karen's out watering her flowers, pretending not to see. Ethan walks up. "Karen, you hit it again." "Prove it," she says coldly. Her SUV still has splinters of red paint stuck near the bumper. Camera zooms in. Her smile twitches, confidence cracking slightly. Ethan exhales through his nose, quietly furious. "You think this is funny?" "I think you're overreacting. It's a mailbox, not a murder." "It's not about the wood, Karen. It's about respect." Ethan turns away, too calm. Karen mutters under her breath, "Maybe the next one won't be an accident." He stops walking. Silence. Then a faint smirk. "Then I'll make sure it survives you." Late at night. Ethan sits at his workbench in his garage, blueprints spread out, metal pipes, cement bags, steel rods. He's an engineer by trade. Calm, precise. He sketches a new design. Reinforced base, concrete core, galvanized steel exterior. Beside it, he writes one word, unbreakable. Dim yellow light, the sound of tools clinking, a slow, suspenseful score building. Internal thought. Let her try again. He mixes cement, molds the foundation, drills reinforcements, his movements methodical, fueled by quiet rage. As he wipes sweat from his brow, the camera pans to the finished blueprint, sleek, deadly strong, and his lips curve into a satisfied, dangerous smile. Next morning at dawn, Ethan digs a deep hole by the curb. Neighbors watch from porches, curious, a silent audience to something brewing. Karen peeks through her blinds, frowning. He lowers the heavy steel mailbox post into the ground, seals it in concrete, bolts it tight. This isn't just a mailbox anymore. It's a monument. Sweat drips, sun rises, dust swirls in slow motion as the metal shines. Ethan steps back, wipes his hands, and whispers, "Now we wait." His creation mirrors his journey, patience hardened by injustice. Camera pans to Karen's window, her eyes narrow, full of irritation and curiosity. She mutters, "Let's see how long this one lasts." A stormy evening. Thunder rumbles. Rain slicks the road. Ethan sits inside, lights off, sipping coffee, eyes fixed on the window. Outside, headlights flash. Karen's SUV speeds down the street again. Slow motion. Her tires screech. Her car drifts slightly. Thud. The SUV slams straight into Ethan's reinforced mailbox. Metal bends her bumper inward. Airbag deploys. Steam pours from the hood. Ethan steps outside in the rain, emotionless. Neighbors gather, whispering in disbelief. Karen, dazed, yells through the rain, "You set me up!" Ethan calmly replies, "You drove into my property. Again." Red and blue lights flash in the distance. Police arriving. Camera zooms on Ethan's calm face as he whispers, "This time, let's see who pays for it." Rain pours as police cars line the street. Red and blue reflections flashing off puddles. Karen stands beside her wrecked SUV, mascara streaked, voice raised. "He trapped me. That mailbox is a weapon." Ethan stands silently, soaked but calm. The officer walks around, tapping the steel mailbox post, still unbent, gleaming under the rain. "Ma'am, this is city-approved material." "The fault's yours. You left the road." Karen's face twists in disbelief. "Do you know who I am?" "I run this HOA." The officer glances at Ethan, unimpressed. "Then you should know better." Camera pans to Karen's shaking hands, her phone slipping into a puddle. She's no longer in controls and she knows it. As the tow truck hauls her SUV away, she mutters, "You think this ends here, Ethan? You just started something bigger." The next morning, a letter arrives, stamped HOA violation notice. Ethan unfolds it slowly. It lists a dozen infractions. Non-standard mailbox height. Unauthorized materials. Eyesore design. He laughs bitterly. It's obvious retaliation. Across the street, Karen stands with two HOA members pretending to inspect lawns. They're circling the wagons. Typical. Ethan takes photos of everything. Timestamps, regulations, proof. He's not playing checkers anymore. Soft instrumental background, close up on each click of his camera shutter. He places the letter neatly into a file marked evidence. Then says quietly, "Let's see how well you know your own bylaws." Karen. Ethan sits in an oak-paneled office opposite his attorney, calm, sharp-eyed, mid-40s. He slides the stack of HOA violation letters across the desk. "They're retaliating for me reinforcing my mailbox," he says. The lawyer flips through the pages, smirks. "They made 3 procedural mistakes already. You're going to love this." Low, warm lighting, focus on the lawyer's tapping pen, Ethan's subtle nod. "We'll file for harassment and selective enforcement." Ethan, "You mean they'll finally have to follow their own rules?" "Exactly." The lawyer picks up his phone. "First call's going to their legal counsel. Let's see how long they stay confident." HOA community meeting night. Tension fills the air. Dozens of residents crowd the small hall. Whispers, murmurs, restless energy. Karen takes the floor, voice trembling but defiant. "Our HOA is under attack by a resident who refuses to follow basic guidelines." Ethan raises his hand calmly. "You mean the same guidelines you ignored when you hit my mailbox 3 times? Gasps ripple through the room. A neighbor quietly adds, "We saw it happen, Karen." Camera pans across faces. Shame, shock, realization. Karen's confidence falters for the first time. Ethan sets a folder on the table, labeled Evidence, Recorded Incidents. Karen's eyes widen. He says softly, "Let's put everything on record." Later that evening, Ethan connects his phone to the HOA projector. The screen flickers. Grainy footage appears. Karen's SUV bumping into the mailbox in daylight, reversing, driving off. Then again, the room goes silent. Every frame a truth she can't spin. A slow zoom on Karen's frozen expression. Her voice catches. That's not..." But no one believes her now. For the first time, Ethan isn't angry. He's just tired. Tired of being treated small. The HOA president clears his throat. Effective immediately, Karen Wells is suspended from board duties pending investigation. Karen's head snaps toward Ethan. You'll regret this. Days later, Karen's house becomes quiet, blinds drawn, no morning walks, no loud arguments. But her anger festers behind closed doors. Ethan receives an anonymous letter slipped under his door. You think this makes you safe? Watch your back, he studies the handwriting. Sharp strokes. Karen's, without question. Evening shadows stretch across his living room. Ethan locks his doors, then stands at the window, eyes on her house. Light and dark. The battle not between good and evil, but between pride and accountability. The camera zooms on Karen's silhouette in her window, unmoving, watching. Thunder rolls outside. A week later, HOA auditors arrive, external investigators sent by the county. They knock on doors, review budgets, request records. Ethan watches as Karen's face turns pale. Turns out she'd been funneling HOA maintenance funds into administrative bonuses, her own. Investigator. Mrs. Wells, can you explain these transactions? Karen stammers. It's standard allocation. Investigator. Not according to the bylaws. Stacks of paper, flashing camera bulbs, Karen trembling as evidence piles up. As they escort her out of the HOA office for questioning, she locks eyes with Ethan. Her voice is a whisper, venomous yet desperate. You destroyed me. Ethan replies softly, No, you did that yourself. Weeks later, the neighborhood feels lighter, cleaner, calmer. Ethan's mailbox stands untouched. Birds perch on it in peace. New HOA leadership takes over, promising transparency. Neighbors who once avoided Ethan now wave from their lawns. He's rebuilding not just his mailbox, but his sense of belonging. Golden hour glow, children's laughter faint in the distance. Karen, however, sits inside her dim house, blinds closed, the world outside moving on without her. One morning, Ethan opens his door to find a letter in neat handwriting on his doormat. Ethan, I want to talk. No tricks. KW. Camera pans up to his unreadable expression. Then cut to black. Ethan sits on his porch with the unopened letter from Karen resting on the table. The evening sun paints everything orange and gold, calm, yet uneasy. He hesitates, then finally tears it open. Inside is a single page. Ethan, you were right. I let power blind me. I'm losing everything. But maybe it's what I needed. I'm sorry for every word, every action, every dent in your peace. Karen, he reads it twice. There's no sarcasm, no arrogance, only exhaustion and truth. Soft instrumental music plays. The camera lingers on Ethan's expression, torn between anger and empathy. He looks up to see Karen herself across the street, standing quietly at the end of her driveway, watching him read. Neither says a word. But something shifts. The war might finally be over. Next morning, Ethan knocks on Karen's door. She answers hesitantly. No makeup, eyes swollen from sleepless nights. Ethan, you wanted to talk? Karen, I didn't think you'd come. They sit on her porch. Awkward silence. Broken only by the sound of cicadas. Karen speaks first, voice trembling. I hated that mailbox because it stood for everything I couldn't control. You never bent, and I envied that. Ethan listens, quiet but sincere. I didn't build it to win. I built it because I got tired of breaking. Camera circles them in a slow, steady orbit. Two people finally facing the wreckage between them. Karen exhales shakily. I might lose my home over the audit. I deserve that, but I wanted you to know I'm done fighting. Ethan looks at her. Not as an enemy, but as a person finally coming undone. Weeks later, HOA disciplinary hearing. Karen sits at the long table, papers stacked high. Ethan attends as a witness. Mrs. Wells, due to repeated misconduct, unauthorized spending, and harassment, you are hereby removed as president. Murmurs ripple through the room. Karen lowers her gaze. The camera lingers on her trembling hands. Ethan watches, not with triumph, but quiet sympathy. Sometimes justice doesn't feel like victory. As Karen stands to leave, she stops beside him. Thank you for not pushing harder. He replies, "It wasn't about destroying you." Days later, Ethan walks past Karen's property. She's out front, cleaning, repainting her fence, repairing what she can. She looks up and nods once. A silent truce. He nods back. Warm late afternoon light, soft wind, no dialogue, just mutual acknowledgement. Both rebuilding, not their fences, but their boundaries, their peace. Karen calls out softly, "That mailbox!" It's still standing strong. Ethan smiles faintly. "Built to survive anything." She replies, "Guess I wasn't the only one who needed that lesson." One morning, Ethan finds a small brown package taped to his mailbox. Inside is a metal plaque engraved, "To strength that stands without hurting others." He looks across the street. Karen waves shyly from her driveway, embarrassed but genuine. He nods, touched but composed. The camera zooms on the plaque gleaming in the sunlight, symbol of closure, not vengeance. As he bolts it onto the mailbox, he mutters, "Guess it's finally over." But then his phone buzzes, a message from the HOA's new board president. "We need your help." "Ethan, someone's challenging the bylaw reforms." Ethan attends a new HOA meeting, this time as an invited consultant. Karen sits quietly at the back, no longer a leader, just a resident trying to stay involved. The new president thanks Ethan for helping draft fairer regulations. The atmosphere is different, hopeful, cooperative. Wide-angle shot of Ethan speaking calmly, explaining his ideas. Karen listens, a small, proud smile playing at the corner of her lips. As the meeting ends, Ethan walks out and hears Karen's voice. "You'd make a better president than I ever did." He turns, smiles softly, and walks away. Weeks pass. Kids play on sidewalks again. Families chat by mailboxes, laughter replacing tension. Ethan's mailbox becomes something of a local legend. People joke about the indestructible post. Karen volunteers at the next community cleanup, quietly doing her part without recognition. Peaceful montage, sweeping shots of trimmed lawns, fresh paint, blue skies. The rebuilt community mirrors Ethan's internal healing, order born from chaos. Karen approaches Ethan during cleanup. "Need help repainting your fence?" Ethan chuckles. "As long as you don't drive through it." A local journalist visits the neighborhood after hearing about the viral Mailbox feud. She interviews Ethan and Karen together. Awkward at first, but soon honest and warm. Ethan says, "It stopped being about the mailbox a long time ago. It became about learning how to stand firm, without bitterness," Karen adds softly. "And learning when to admit you were wrong." Camera pans to the steel mailbox. Still pristine, sunlight reflecting off its surface. The journalist smiles. "You know, this would make a great headline." Karen laughs quietly. "Just don't call me the villain this time." Months later, Ethan replaces the flag on his mailbox, noticing a small chip of rust. Karen walks over, toolbox in hand. "Mind if I help?" "I'm better with tools now than steering wheels." They laugh, a real human laugh. Neighbors wave as they work side by side. Soft golden light, birds chirping, peacefully restored. As they finish, Karen asks, "You ever regret building it so strong?" Ethan smiles. "No, it had to survive until I did." Evening. Camera pans from the road to Ethan's property. Neat, peaceful, alive. The mailbox stands perfectly straight under a fading orange sky. Ethan sits on the porch, sipping coffee, reading the local paper. Front page headline, "From Feud to Friendship, a Neighborhood Rebuilt." He folds the paper, watching as Karen waves goodbye to a group of kids riding bikes past her driveway. She's smiling, genuinely, Ethan. Sometimes strength isn't about what you can break. It's about what you can rebuild and who you forgive on the way. The camera zooms in on the mailbox flag fluttering in the soft wind. One last glint of sunlight reflects off the steel post, unshaken, steady, eternal.